Hey everyone, I'm Minister James Moss. This is Continuing Education. We're in the book of Luke and we're starting a new chapter. We're chapter 23. All right, so here in chapter 23, we're getting closer to the end. There's only 24 chapters in Luke, okay? So we're about to hit the pinnacle of the Gospels. All right, so here we go. We're going to cover verses 1 through 5 in chapter 23, and this one is entitled Jesus Stands Trial Before Pilate. All right, so here we go. Early that morning, Jesus' accusers rushed to Pilate. The high priest and the teachers of religious law, Jesus was very of religious law. What? To the high priest and the teachers of religious law, Jesus was very dangerous. Because I was looking at that, I'm like, man, that don't look right. But yeah, to the high priest and the teachers of religious law, Jesus was very dangerous. He simply had to be eliminated. Therefore, they did not shrink from presenting completely false charges against Jesus. Pilate saw through their blatant lies. He knew Jesus was innocent. All right, so verses 1 through 5. And the whole multitude of them arose and led him unto Pilate, and they began to accuse him, saying, We found this fellow perverting the nation and forbidding to give tribute to Caesar, saying that he himself is Christ, a king. And Pilate asked him, saying, Art thou the king of the Jews? And he answered him and said, Thou sayest it. Then said Pilate to the chief priests and to the people, I find no fault in this man. And they were the more fierce, saying, He stirreth up the people, teaching throughout all Jewry, beginning from Galilee to this place. All right, so they're like, he's starting trouble. He's creating riots. He's this, not only among us, but among your people too. All right, verse 1. The Jewish council had already decided that Jesus should die, but they could not, under Roman law, carry out the death penalty. Jesus would have to be tried and convicted in a Roman court. Thus, they took Jesus over to Pilate, the Roman governor. Pilate was the governor of Judea, where Jerusalem was located. Pilate's normal residence was in Caesarea on the Mediterranean Sea, but he happened to be in Jerusalem because of the Passover festival. With the large crowds who flocked to the city for that celebration, Pilate and his soldiers came to help keep the peace. He stayed in his headquarters called the Praetorium. Verse 2. The Jewish leaders had arrested Jesus on theological grounds, blasphemy, but they had to come up with a political reason for executing Jesus. The charges against Jesus in the Roman court were rebellion and treason. The irony is that the first accusation, that Jesus was leading the people to ruin, was completely unfounded. The second accusation, that Jesus told the people not to pay their taxes, was an outright lie. The third charge, that he was claiming to be the Messiah, a king, was absolutely true. Verses 3 and 4. Pilate focused on the accusation about Jesus claiming to be a king, for that could amount to treason and be grounds for a death sentence. So Pilate asked the prisoner, Are you the king of the Jews? The question is identical in all four Gospels, and in all four the word you is emphatic. Jesus answered the question, Yes, it is as you say. To have said otherwise would have been a lie. Jesus was a king, but his kingship was not a threat to Pilate or to Caesar. At some point, Pilate realized that the religious leaders simply wanted to get rid of this man, so he said, I find nothing wrong with this man. Pilate's reluctance to prosecute Jesus was undoubtedly due more to his contempt for the Jews rather than for any particular consideration for Jesus. He'd rather see them angry and upset than, he was like, look, I don't have a problem with him, and I'm glad to see y'all upset about this. Verse 5, the Jews' plan was unraveling. Pilate wasn't playing into their hands as they had hoped, and they became desperate. So they came up with more trumped-up charges. They claimed that Jesus was causing riots everywhere. Because Pilate was mainly charged with keeping peace, he would be interested in dealing with the man who was causing riots. If this charge were true, Pilate would have heard about Jesus long before this, which he probably had. All right, so this is Luke's accounting of Jesus before Pilate, and we find in the other Gospels that of course, there was more dialogue between Jesus and Pilate, and Pilate was really looking for a reason, a way out of it, because he didn't want to crucify or kill Jesus. Actually, his wife told him, "Look, don't have anything to do with what they want to do to this man." You know what? And that's why he's like, I find no fault in him. And later on, he's like, I wipe my hands clean of this. But we'll get to that. Okay, we'll get to that as soon as we pop up in the video, right? All right. So look, thank you if you're watching this video and you're hearing me at this moment. Thank you for watching all the way through. Make sure you reread the scriptures and just kind of mull over it a little bit. Let God kind of open up your understanding to what was taking place here. And then as you understand, move forward. The videos, they're there. There's no reason for you to rush. They will be there as long as God's will is that they be there. All right. Until next time, God bless you. God keep you. And as I always say, continue to keep studying.